Welcome to the Kingdom of Wyvern. When you sit down for your Wyvern demo, you'll be given a starter deck. The first thing you need to do upon figuring out how to open it is to sort the cards into two piles. You'll want to take the red and green cards and put them in one pile, and the purple and yellow cards and put them in another. Once you get the purple and yellow cards together, just put them to the side. You won't need them right away. Now the object of Wyvern is to eliminate your opponent's 6 battle positions before they eliminate your 6 battle positions. Now normally when you're setting up for a game, you'd use your own cards, but since I'm only showing you the card interactions at the moment, we'll just use this deck. Now the deck I dealt from was the red and green cards. The red and green cards are dragons and terrain. Now dragons are the main method of attacking in Wyvern. On your turn, you'll usually select a dragon, flip it up and pay for it, and pick a card of your opponent's to attack. In this case, I'll choose Celestial Dragon. Celestial is a Strength 5 flying dragon. Now when a dragon's first revealed, you have to pay its strength in gold. If there are any gold pieces on the card, you have to pay that in addition to the dragon's strength. In this case, there's no added gold pieces, so 5 gold will pay for Celestial. Now a dragon can attack any card in the row in front of it. An exception to this is any dragon that has flying, like Celestial Dragon. A flying dragon can go over one row. So Celestial from this position in my front row could reach any card in my opponent's battlefield. If he didn't have flying, he could only reach one of the front 3. Now I don't know anything about my opponent's battlefield at the beginning of a game. Everything I eventually learn about it will be through what they do, how they attack, what cards they choose to swap out. You'll see all of that when you see the sample game. But in this case, I'm going to randomly pick my opponent's back card and hope that it's a dragon that Celestial can defeat. In this case, it ends up being Wyvern. Now Wyvern's a Strength 4 flying dragon. It has no additional gold pieces on the card, so my opponent would have to pay a total of 4 gold to bring Wyvern into play. In this battle, Celestial versus Wyvern, Celestial would be ahead 5-4, based on their strength. Now, when you're playing the full game of Wyvern, you'll have your purple and yellow cards. They'll be in your hand. Some of the purple cards can add strength to your dragon or prevent them from dying, things of that nature. So, normally you'll have a way to fight off a dragon that's larger than you. But in this case, 5-4, we're not using the cards, so Wyvern will die, get removed from the battlefield. Now you'll see my opponent's been reduced to 5 battle positions. If he loses his last one, he loses the game. Now dragon versus dragon is not the only possible outcome of an attempted attack. If Celestial had instead chosen to go after this card, it would have been revealed to be a forest. Now the forest is a terrain card. It's going to apply to the Celestial Dragon and weaken its strength, knocking it down to a 4 for the rest of the game. You'll notice that the forest has gold pieces on the card. In the case of terrain, gold pieces indicate gold that's gained by the person who owns the card when it's discovered by the opposing dragon. So my opponent gains 2 gold, Celestial's weakened to a 4, and in this case, he gets to replace the card in his battlefield. Now the only time when a terrain card would not be replaced is if it does not apply to the attacking dragon, or if the attacking dragon is a scout. For example, if I had attacked with Amphitheater, a Strength 0 flying scout, and chosen to attack this card, and it was revealed to be a terrain, the card would immediately be destroyed and not replaced. So there are basically 3 types of battlefield cards: dragons, scouts, and terrain. When a dragon hits a terrain card, it's weakened, the owner of the terrain card gains gold, and the card's replaced. When a scout hits a terrain card, it's destroyed and not replaced. And when dragons and scouts fight, you'll find that a dragon will normally win the battle, since a dragon's strength will range from 1 to 7, and scouts are always of a strength 0. The best Wyvern decks have a balance of all 3. Now we're going to take you through the sequence of play of Wyvern. In order to set up for the game, you need to take your red and green cards, put them to your left, and your purple and yellow cards, put them to your right. You'll take the top 6 cards from your shuffled red and green pile, bring them up to your hand, and thoroughly read all the cards. Now there'll be a mixture of dragon and terrain, and you're going to put them down in front of you in 2 rows of 3, however you choose. Often this will determine your starting strategy. Once you've set up your 6 cards, you'll want to take the top 7 from your purple and yellow pile. These will make up your hand. Now in Wyvern we have a very structured turn sequence. You'll need to look at the last page of the rulebook in order to get the summary of play. It lists the 7 phases. We're now going to take you through these phases one at a time, giving you details of each. Now the first phase of Wyvern is the simplest. It's the draw phase. At the beginning of each of your turns, you'll simply draw a card, regardless of how many cards you have in your hand. Phase 2 is the treasure placement phase. During this phase, you're allowed to play 1 and only 1 treasure from your hand to a treasure position in your battlefield. Now there are 4 treasure positions. They exist at the ends of the rows. The treasure cards are yellow. They'll have gold pieces on them to indicate how much gold you must pay in order to put them into play, and they have effects that range from helping a dragon attack or defend to helping him survive a battle. In this case, I'll take the Fountain of Youth and place it at the end of this row. Now the Fountain of Youth card has 1 gold piece printed on the card. That's the amount of gold you'll need to pay to put the Fountain of Youth into play. Now this particular treasure will allow a dragon in that row to survive a lost battle. There's 4 treasure positions in your battlefield, which means you can never have more than 4 treasures in play at one time. Phase 3 is the movement phase. During the movement phase, you're allowed to move up to 2 cards in your battlefield. In the beginning, when your battlefield is full, that simply means exchanging 2 cards, like this. Since 2 cards did move, that would count as both movements. Once you have lost a position, you can move cards into the empty spaces. For instance, this move would be one of the 2, and you could move this for your second. Now you don't have to use both movements, but you may if you choose to. You can also move treasures from one position to another as one of your 2 movements. The 4th phase is the action phase. During the action phase, both players can play as many cards as they choose, but only cards that specifically say action in the upper left-hand corner. For instance, Gold Find is an action that has no gold cost that allows both players to gain 2 gold. Or City, which has a 1 gold cost, would allow you to turn a face-up dragon face down. Now there are many other cards that you may have in your hand, such as battle actions, that also have the word action in the title, but they're not playable in this phase. During the action phase, only cards specifically labeled action or Dragon Slayer action are playable. Now the Dragon Slayer action, like Cadmus, is only playable on your own turn in the first action phase. You can only play it against a face-up dragon and in attempts to kill the dragon. This is a way you can remove one of your opponent's cards without directly getting into battle with it. In this case, Cadmus kills any flying dragon, and Wyvern is a flying dragon. So I could pay the 2 gold pieces on Cadmus and attempt to remove Wyvern from the game. That brings us to one other type of card called a reaction. Now reaction cards are only played in response to specific cards. For instance, the card Marina is a reaction that's played in response to a Dragon Slayer. It would effectively cancel that card and prevent it from taking place. Now one side effect of the Dragon Slayer action is that it forces you to skip your 5th phase, the battle phase, but we'll deal with that more when we get to it. Now as I said earlier, in the action phase both players will be allowed to play as many action cards as they choose. If it's your turn, you get to play the first action card. Then your opponent has the opportunity to, and you'll go back and forth until both players pass in succession. Just because I pass doesn't mean my opponent does not get the chance to play one. They'll still be able to play one on my turn, even if I choose not to. Now once both players have passed in succession, you'll go on to the next phase. Now the battle phase is the main phase of Wyvern. If you'd played a Dragon Slayer action in your first action phase, you'll skip this phase entirely, but otherwise you must do one of 2 things in your battle phase. You either attack with a dragon, or choose to swap out a card. Now we've already covered attacking with dragons, but to recap quickly, you would flip up a dragon, pay its strength in gold plus any gold pieces on the card, and choose a card of your opponent's to attack. In this case, I'll choose this card. We reveal Celestial Dragon. Celestial Dragon will cost my opponent 5, and we'll compare the strengths. He's ahead 5 to 4. Now this is when the final type of card, the battle action, comes into play. Battle actions come in many different types, but most of them are strength modifiers, which will allow you to pay gold, such as the fireball, 3 gold, to give a bonus to your dragon, in this case a +4, making Wyvern an 8 versus Celestial, who is a 5. Now when playing battle actions, the player who's behind in the battle will play the first battle action. From then on, it'll alternate back and forth between players until both players pass, much like the action phase. So for instance, now I would be ahead 8-5, and my opponent may play a card such as Knight, which simply cancels the battle. Or if he didn't have a card to cancel the battle and had no way to make his dragon bigger, he might play some of the cards like Sacrifice, which forces the winner of the battle to pay gold to the loser. Now, as we said earlier, dragon versus dragon is not the only outcome of this attack. Instead of attacking that card, if I had chosen this, we would have revealed the terrain card. Now, terrain cards stick to the dragon that discovers them. The owner of the terrain card gains gold equal to the number of gold on the card, in this case 2, and whatever it says on the terrain card will now apply to the attacking dragon. So Wyvern will now have a strength modifier of -1, reducing him to a 3. Also, when a terrain card works, the terrain's position will be replaced with a new card. Now the big weakness to terrain that we also mentioned earlier is when it's discovered by any dragon that says Scout on the card. In this case, Typhon, a strength 0 Scout, attacks that position, discovers a terrain, it'll be destroyed immediately and removed from the game. Remember, a terrain destroyed like this does not get replaced. Neither does a dragon that's lost a battle. Now the second option, instead of attacking, would have been to swap out a card in my battlefield. In this case, for instance, I would remove Typhon and take the top card of my Dragon Lair draw pile and put it in its place. This fulfills my requirement for the battle phase, so I could have done that rather than attack. It didn't have to be Typhon, it could have been any card in my battlefield, face up or face down, dragon or terrain, and it would have had the same effect. So remember, you must either attack or swap out in each of your battle phases unless you played a Dragon Slayer. You're not allowed to do nothing. The second action phase is virtually identical to the first action phase, except that Dragon Slayer actions cannot be played. Whereas the first action phase is usually used to prepare for a battle, the second action phase is usually used to clear up the effects after a battle. For instance, if your dragon had discovered terrain, you may have a card in your hand that allows you to remove the card from your dragon, returning him to full strength. Other than that, it goes the same way. Both players have the opportunity to play actions back and forth until both players pass in succession. Then you go to the next phase. Now the discard phase is the final phase of your turn. During it, you simply count up the number of cards in your hand. If you have more than 7 cards, you've got to discard down to 7. Once this phase is over, it becomes your opponent's turn, and he'll go through the 7 phases in order, just like you did. Play will continue back and forth, turn by turn, until one player's lost their last battle position, whereupon the game ends. So let's recap a few key points to the game. First of all, you start the game with only 25 gold pieces, so make sure you spend them wisely. If you spend too much too soon, you may find you can't pay for cards or dragons later on that are crucial to your victory. Also remember that if you can't pay for a dragon, you're not allowed to attack with it, and if it gets attacked and you can't pay for it, it'll lose automatically. You also don't lose the game if you run out of gold or cards. The only way to lose the game is if you lose your last battlefield position. And there are 3 points that often confuse new players. And that is, you only have to pay for a dragon once, you always replace terrain when it works, and you never replace a dragon when it loses a battle. Oh, and by the way, have fun in the Kingdom of Wyvern. Wyvern's Kingdom Edition is the newest printing of the main set. There are 277 cards in the set, and they're available in starters and boosters. This is the place to start your collection, as many of the fundamental cards exist only in the main set. Starter decks are also an excellent way to enter the Kingdom of Wyvern because they contain everything one player needs to play the game. Phoenix is Wyvern's first expansion set. It contains 90 new cards and features 2 new types of actions, hidden actions and intercept actions. Hidden actions allow you to play cards face down into your or your opponent's battlefield. Your opponent won't know what these cards are until it's too late. Intercept actions represent mythical creatures that attacking dragons have to defeat before continuing on to their intended target. Since these cards come into play from your hand, your opponent will be completely surprised. In the Chameleon expansion set, we add another 90 new cards to the Kingdom of Wyvern with a hot new artist. Already said to be Wyvern's most powerful expansion, Chameleon adds native terrain dragons, little guys who get much bigger when used with the right terrain cards. Imagine an 18 strength dragon. This set also adds the Chameleon terrain. These cards give you ultimate control over your battlefield. Although the cards start as a terrain, they can morph into a dragon to crush any scout that's unlucky enough to discover them. Wyvern the Insider's Guide is the perfect companion for any Wyvern player. With complete updated rules, mythology background of the dragons, and color pictures of all the Kingdom and Phoenix cards, this book is indispensable to the serious Wyvern player. With strategy articles and multiplayer rules, it's appropriate for players at all levels of ability. The Wyvern gold coins are the perfect accessory to the game of Wyvern. Sold in sets of 30, these solid brass coins proudly display the Wyvern dragon on one side and the Wyvern W on the other. Although they aren't necessary to play the game, players find that they really make the game complete.